Welcome to SurrounDead, a low-poly survival and crafting experience in an open world filled with random hostile NPC interactions, wildlife, and the occasional zombie. SurrounDead was released in June 2022 by Survivor, a solo developer that clearly has a passion for the zombie survival genre. The game is currently only available on the Steam platform and will cost you around $17 in Aussie money at the time of review. This early access game is set in the fictional world of the Valley, a pretty classic style devastated post-apocalyptic landscape ravaged by radiation, lawlessness, radical militant groups, and of course, zombies. Firstly, this game has a ton of options to customize the in-game experience. I won't go through all of these options, but you can modify the loot abundance, enemy difficulty and spawn rate, environmental and random event occurrence rate, and heaps more. I suggest playing on the base settings for your first playthrough, but just keep in mind that if you'd like to change the experience in a certain way, there is a very good chance you can with all these options. You could make it a casual walkthrough and exploration playthrough, or more of a hardcore experience with less loot, faster and stronger zombies, and bump up the zombie spawn rate so you feel like it's an intense survival experience. When you click the new game button, you'll be asked to create your character. There is a pretty basic level of customization compared to a lot of other games with a few different body types, hairstyles, and clothes to choose from. You also get asked to pick a background for your character. Unfortunately, the backgrounds don't have any influence over your character's build or attributes at this point, so don't worry about this too much, but hopefully this will change with future updates. Exploration is one of the core mechanics of SurrounDead. Obviously, being an open world game, you'd expect nothing less. When you start off as a casually clad survivor with a knife and a dream, you'll immediately feel lost and frightened of what's around every corner. Trying to hack and slash your way through an overwhelming amount of undead Satan spawn to find better weapons and armor, and eventually become a badass zombie slaying beast. Although the map isn't the biggest you've probably seen, it's got plenty of unique locations and POIs to explore to keep the game feeling fresh and exciting to discover. There's also a decent range of vehicles that can be found or purchased through vendors. And some special vehicles that will need to be found and maintained by refueling and repairing them to keep them ready to mow down hordes and make your exploration and looting a much easier experience. As you progress through the game, you'll find equipment such as a compass and a GPS device to help you navigate your way around the map, which allows the comfort of starting your first home in the Valley. SurrounDead's base building has two different approaches. Modular base building through farming resources, crafting, and placement to create a unique base from scratch in the middle of nowhere. Or you can take the easier route and just take over a building and claim it as your own, modifying it with defenses and all the crafting benches and equipment you need to survive, including a power supply and your own well for a convenient water supply. Any building can be claimed as your home, with certain items limiting zombie spawns in the immediate vicinity, so they don't spawn in the middle of your base after claiming them. Crafting is a little basic, but provides enough options to satisfy everyone playing this style of game. You can craft food, health items, ammo, base defenses and storage units, and a few other things. The combat feels similar to Project Zomboid. You can quickly become overwhelmed and run out of stamina while exploring and end up dead, just when you thought everything was going smoothly. The combat feels satisfying to say the least. It has good hit rego and hitboxes on the enemies, a knockback effect on melee weapons to stunt the zombies' advance, and visual indicators for hit rego with ranged attacks. For melee combat, you have a pushback mechanic and all the expected weapons, from kitchen knives to baseball bats and hunting knives, or even a golf club if that's what you're into, to more specialized and unique weapons like swords, spiked bats, and radiated machetes. For ranged combat, you have a good range and variety of firearms to choose from, ranging from handguns like the 9mm Glock pistol, all the way up to the classic zombie killing handgun of choice, the Desert Eagle. You can find or purchase SMGs, shotguns, grenade launchers, assault rifles and hunting rifles, all of different calibers, and definitely have enough variety to keep you working towards getting the next death-dealing weapon of choice on your list. There's a range of enemies that you'll come across in your travels, from militant and well-armed groups to some straggler deadbeats that want to kill you just because they're assholes, and a few different zombie types to dispatch over the game world, including your classic generic zombie and special types that either move extremely quickly, some explode on death, or the colossal tank style zombies that will eat your clicks and have you second guessing if you're well enough prepared for your journey. The game isn't breaking any new ground, but has a good feel for the gameplay style, and providing you're not looking for next-gen graphics, you'll find it easy to palette and enjoy the game for what it is. The world itself feels like a post-apocalyptic environment, with radiated zones, run-down military bases, towns and cities being reclaimed by nature. Although in my opinion, the POIs could definitely use a little more fleshing out, one thing I always take into account with this title is that it's a single dev building the game. The ambient sounds and effects like rain and crackling thunder fit the game well and add to the feel of a zombie survival title, with believable zombie groans and shuffling of their feet that immerse you and keep you on your toes while wandering the wasteland. Generally, the game has limited bugs, if any, and certainly nothing game-breaking, and the dev is quick to hotfix any bugs introduced in new patches. Now, taking into account that this is a solo dev, I think Survivor has done a pretty amazing job so far, and has a roadmap to add more features to the title and improve on what I think is already a solid game. Future updates mentioned include multiplayer and co-op. I can see this game being much more enjoyable with friends. Although I have enjoyed my solo experience, I think the solo aspect adds to the intensity of each adventure, knowing there is no one to save me if I'm not well enough prepared. Story-driven quests and a bounty system. Adding these features would make the game feel a little more purposeful and give you more to do other than just exploring and killing mountains of zombies, which is fun, but limits the amount of time you can sink into the game. Vehicle customization? What can I say? Of course this would be a good addition. Who doesn't like the idea of pimping a custom horde trampling death machine? A couple of other things mentioned is a farming system and more maps. Let's start with the pitfalls of the game and the things I think need to be added. More detail. The game is not as fleshed out as I would like. Some buildings seem quite empty and don't create a theme or feeling. More props and detail need to be added to the already existing POIs to give it more life before adding more maps and locations. The game as a whole is a little basic when it comes to crafting and game mechanics. When compared to something like Project Zomboid, it can feel lacking in most aspects. Granted, Zomboid has been around for a lot longer and has only recently gotten to the level of detail and mechanics it has. Roaming hordes and enemies. I'd like to see roaming zombies, hordes, and enemy NPC added to the game. For now, base building feels more like a place for storage and crafting. Roaming enemies would make building a well-structured and well-defended base actually feel necessary. More zombie types. Although there is some variety in zombie styles, I think more special zombie types need to be added. I've played thousands of hours of Left 4 Dead and would love to see zombie types similar to the Smoker, hunter, and spitter styles added to increase the challenge and intensity of the game. Before I give my final verdict on SurrounDead, if you enjoyed the video and would like to support my channel, please hit the like and sub buttons. I have a Discord that anyone could join if you'd like to engage with me more, and a Patreon set up to help fuel the channel as well. Now to the real question. If I could go back in time, would I buy this game again? Yes, 100%. After playing for over 50 hours and having a really fun experience, I would definitely buy this again. I've always considered the fact that this is a single developer and that things may not be as polished as I'd hoped for. I like to support indie titles and be part of the feedback loop for the developer. For what it is at this point in time and the price point, I think anyone who enjoys a zombie survival game will enjoy this title and find themselves sinking plenty of hours into the content the game has so far. If you do purchase this game, there is a dedicated Discord where you can engage with Survivor and the SurrounDead community. Be sure to leave any feedback you have or suggestions for future content to help with the development and the path the game takes in the future. From what I can see, the dev is active and engaging with the community to improve on the gameplay loop and add the features most requested by the community. Thanks for checking out the video, and hopefully I'll see you all in the comments and my future videos.